investigation?
Well,
Dan Rick?
yeah,
Yeah.
there is a team that is ready at any given point to assist. Assuming when I'm elected, Tony wishes to stay, obviously. His knowledge of the case is important. Won't discount that a bit. But he'll have some help.
So there's a team someplace?
Yes.
Okay. Another question, and for you, Mark, well, for both of you, but when the deputies go out of the county, that leaves residents, Carroll County residents, vulnerable. And where, in your opinion, does it make sense to respond to out-of-county incidents?
Depends on the incident.
Mm-hmm.
Call for help from another officer trumps a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is discretionary, and as sheriff, I'll make sure that that discretionary period is warranted, and I would like to see them being in control of districts or, I guess, sectors of the county, so that as I've been through the community and talking to people, I see that there's places that have never seen a police car in several weeks. I want to make sure that they get the service they need, the service they want. So people will be responsible for areas of the county to make sure that they're being seen.
So when there is a call from another agency, in your administration, would you send a deputy? Would a deputy just go? Would a deputy check with you to see, should I do this? How would that go in your administration?
Again, that's discretionary. A lot of times in our profession, the officer has a lot of discretion. If it's warranted, I'll have their back. If it's not, we're going to have issues.
How are they going to know if it's warranted?
That's, again, their discretion. And their discretion is part of their training and experience. And I just want people to know that as a discretionary officer, I'm not trying to micromanage, but they need to understand that if there's a call for help, I would expect them to go. If it's just somebody wanting to see a different part of the county, then we'll have issues, and that issues will be discipline.
Same question, Mr. Liggett.
Once again, Carroll County is a small agency. We rely on White County, for example. If our guys are inevitably, if there's a call in Burlington, something happens up by the lake. So Monticello, White County, Tippecanoe County, Clinton County, it's a mutual aid thing. So if vice versa, if Clinton County has something going on in Rossville and they ask us to come and help, we return that favor. It's just mutual aid. You want to know that a police officer's coming to help you when you need one. And if that's from another agency, we'll take it. Dividing people out into sectors. We have 2 guys on duty. So we can divide it north and south. Generally speaking, if there's 2 guys don't go to every call, that's not warranted, I'm not saying that. But on any other kind of call, officer safety, personal safety, crashes, things like that, both those officers are going to that. We want 2 people there to help you guys out on a crash or whatever. Can one guy handle it? A lot of times, yes. But we're gonna allow our guys to use their discretion, not a bad word, to help other surrounding counties, surrounding agencies, and they're gonna help us too.
So that would be your policy, your administrative policy in the
Yes.
future.
Anybody else have a question?
Who, what?
I do.
Come.
You guys were talking, can I just say right here? If you want me to.
If you can.
You guys have been talking about body cams, and I'd like to know what it costs.
Who you want to go?
Whoever goes first, raise your hand up here.
How much does a body cam cost? Isn't that the question?
Yes.
Okay.
So I recently, I think it was in 2020, looked into Axon and another company called Body Worn Cameras to outfit the road deputies, not the sheriff, not the detectives, just the guys that work the road with, the cheaper of them at the time was Axon. And jail, we want jail staff to have them as well, not just road guys. But that was in the ballpark of $100,000.
For what?
No,
Okay.
to outfit all,
Okay.
to outfit everybody in the storage.
I got distracted, sorry.
Sure. There may be cheaper ways to get it done. Those were the ones that I was told to check on. But if there are grants, I think body cameras in Carroll County is very, very doable. There are grants for that stuff.
So, so what constitutes the entire system for a body cam? Is it just the body cam and like the internal workings, or is there something that it's backing up to at the sheriff's station?
Yeah, good, for those two particular ones, you need good internet, basically. You get this, that included storage through the body camera company. They stored that stuff, they provided software that you can redact things out and things like that. So that was storage included, loading docks that they set their cameras in at the sheriff's department, and good internet.
Mark, do you wanna speak to that a little bit?
Yes, I can't disagree, it's expensive, it is very expensive. $100,000 doesn't seem out of line, to be honest with you, for a dozen body cameras, a docking station, and cloud storage. Current litigation, that's gonna be a blank check. We can buy body cameras for $100,000 or pay litigation costs of open your checkbook for the county.
Okay, Mark, first you. Currently, the sheriff has not embraced random drug testing. It is left, leaving it to his discretion. Would you subscribe to random drug testing as a regular part of employment for your deputies and for the jail staff?
Absolutely. For the last 20 years, I've had random drug screens. At random, we'll say that. We have tobacco screens even, because part of our insurance, if you are healthy and go through the steps to go through the insurance that we have, part of that is if you choose not to use tobacco, if your BMI, your body mass index, is acceptable, you get a break on your insurance, and part of that is we do random drug screens and or tobacco screens. So yes, random drug screens are very important. It holds people accountable again. And that's the premise of it.
Tony?
Yeah, I have no problem at all with random drug testing.
Would you do it
Sure, absolutely,
if you became sheriff? Yeah.
absolutely.
Because the current sheriff doesn't.
Won't speak to the current sheriff.
Just saying.
Just
Just
answering your question.
Yeah. Another thing that just came in before I left, as for both candidates, and Tony, you go first. I'd like, as part of their duties, both candidates, have worked as homicide detectives. How many years has that been part of their job? And in those years, what is their closure percentage? And of those closures, what is their conviction rate? It's kind of a multi-question. So how many years have you been a detective? That's the first part.
As I said, we don't separate out homicide detective in Carroll County, just a detective.
Okay.
I started as detective in 2015. Since then, we've had 3, and not counting Flora, I had no, it's an Indiana State Police investigation, it's not ours, but 3 separate incidents. I had 1 conviction, and the other guy shot himself. So, 2 of the 3.
Mark, do you need a recap on this question?
Yes, please.
I do too, and I'm looking at it. How many years has being a detective, and this person asked about homicide detective, has that been part of your job? And in those years, what is your closure percentage? And of those closures, what is your conviction rate? You read this 3 times, it starts to make sense.
Can I just read the question again? No, I'm just kidding.
I can.
I've been a detective for the city of Lafayette for 14 years. Most of my career at Lafayette Police. Of that, again, it's not a big enough agency. I've been to Little Rock, Arkansas recently. They have a homicide squad of 8 people. They're very, very busy. The Lafayette Police Department does not have technically homicide detectives. Now there are several of us that are homicide trained. Number of cases, we're in the, as lead homicide investigator, I believe I'm up to 14. But I've been on the scene of probably over 100 in that 14 years. But as lead, we'll just continue with that. My closure rate is about 99%. The one that I can tell you right now that is not closed because the subject went to Veracruz. I can't get him back. But other than that, we close what we do.
Tony, wait, you get to answer that question? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay, oh, you did, okay. I lose it, yeah. Tony, what's the role of the merit board?
The role of the merit board, they assist the sheriff, they take care of our retirement funds and things like that, and any kind of disciplinary action the sheriff would take before the merit board.
How many members are on the merit board?
5.
What?
There's 5, there's 3 appointed by the sheriff, 2 by the deputies, and it falls along party lines.
Yeah, it's a party thing, yeah. Mark, how are you with the merit board? You know about the merit board, I'm sure.
I do. We have one very similar.
Ah,
I've never had the opportunity to meet with ours because that usually means discipline.
oh,
So I do know them. I have seen them, but I've never been in front of them for discipline, ever in my 20 years at the Lafayette Police Department.
it's my assumption that they do more than just discipline. Because they have meetings, they call meetings, they're, they have to, and none of them are ever executive sessions. So that means I could go to their meetings.
For us, it's retirement.
Rachel?
Yeah.
Hiring too, I believe, aren't they? Are they?
Yeah,
involved
they
in
are
hiring?
rolling, hiring, firing, discipline, yes.
So, Mark, how will your administration be different from the current administration if you're elected? These are probably kind of general terms, but what would the public expect to see differently?
Professionalism, integrity, and honesty. I bring that with me from this point until then. But moreover, I've had that my entire career, 28 years. They'll expect nothing less. I will expect nothing less of myself. The deputies are good people. I know they are. They know me. Doesn't matter what shirts they're wearing. I know them. I've worked with them. Worked with Tony. Tony has sat in my chair and watched me interview people before. So, what I bring to the table is professionalism, integrity, and honesty. Will not waver.
Good.
The question was, what would you bring? That's here. I appreciate that you would keep it that way, but our guys are professional. They do their job with integrity. They do their job when they're off duty, on duty. Again, small department, pretty tight knit. Those things are here already.
Tony, are your officers, are the deputies required to report to the jail before going on duty?
Before going on duty, no.
So they call in from,
Yeah, when they get in their vehicle, if they're supposed to come on at 6 o'clock, most of them come on before their actual time that they're supposed to come on duty. But, yeah, they just mark on duty from the radio, they start patrol from their house.
Mark, is that the way it would be in your administration?
At times, but there will also be times that I'd like to meet with them, encourage them, be there for them if they need anything. So that will be a face-to-face roll call on many days.
Okay. Somebody wrote to me, our current jail has not been well maintained, which is a common problem with the county-owned real estate and other assets. Jail safety and security ultimately falls to the sheriff. How will you deal with either the existing or new jail when it comes to maintaining a county asset and the demonstrated reluctance of the commissioners to allocate for preventative maintenance?
Well, there was a time, probably 2 years into the current jail's, existence, that it was already having trouble. I know that because I spoke to the sheriff that was the sheriff when it was built. So it's had trouble. It needs to be maintained. My house currently is over 100 years old. If I didn't maintain it, it probably still wouldn't be standing. That has no change in the current building. The commissioners will have to get an education on what they see, what we see, and how to keep up with things.
And how will you do that?
Meetings, talk to them, converse with them, make them see what I see what the inmates see. Basically communicate. There needs to be an open line of communication between us and them to make sure that they understand what's going on currently. When doors don't shut, when heating and air conditioning problems occur, they need to know, and they need to know how that we can remedy that.
Tony? Do you remember the question?
If given a chance and we get this new jail, there needs to be preventative maintenance already set up. I'm not a maintenance guy per se, I can't go out and fix the air conditioning or anything myself, but you can set up twice a year. HVAC guys are gonna come and just do preventative maintenance, look things over, make sure they're there, check the roof. You can do all those things ahead of time, set up contracts. And again, he's not wrong, communicate. Commissioners need to be in the building, council people need to be in the building, seeing it all the time, not just being in the room in the courthouse. They should come and see what's happening. But set up contracts, do those things in advance.
Another from the same caller. County commissioners spent $225,000 on a 60-year-old building for EMA in the corner. They had existing office space, I believe that person means in the courthouse, equipment space and available rental space. Our deputies do not have body cameras nor functioning GPS or laptops. You are starting with an antiquated system, equipment, and commissioners are viewed by some as having poor spending priorities. How will you manage this? How will you retain, recruit, and equip officers for citizens and officer safety? How would you do that?
I guess you kind of lost me in the question.
Okay. I'll read it again. County commissioners spent $225,000 on a 60-year-old building for EMA in the corner. They had existing office space that they could use. They had equipment space and available rental space. Our deputies don't have body cams or functioning GPS and laptops. You're starting with antiquated equipment, and commissioners viewed by some as having poor spending priorities. How will you manage this and retain, recruit, and equip officers for citizen and officer safety?
I can't speak to what space they have for EMA or anything like that. But it does need, spending needs to be a priority. Again, we go back to the staffing issues that we currently have. We need to keep guys here. We have, so for a new guy to come here, if a new guy starts tomorrow, he makes $45,000. He can go to Delphi City and start off at roughly $54,000. They can go to Flora and start off at roughly $54,000. Spending is an issue. We're gonna have a hard time retaining guys. People work here right now because they love Carroll County. They're just like me. They want to do good for everybody in this room and everybody outside of this room in Carroll County. But there just comes a point, we lost Darren Gene Cola. He went to Tate and Lyle. We're never going to be able to, we're never going to be able to compete with what Tate and Lyle pays. But if he made a salary that him and his wife and kids could live on, he may not have been looking. So spending is a big issue. We've got to keep the people here. If we lose people, the training, like I said at the beginning, if we lose people, say we hire 2 guys tomorrow, they're not going to be on the road for a year. So spending is a big issue. That's up to the commissioners and the council as to how that money gets spent. And the best thing I can say as sheriff is I would be passionate about telling them what the needs are and not putting Carroll County in jeopardy, the safety in jeopardy of the citizens.
Mark?
You're right, spending is the issue. Spending is an issue when it's not placed upon the right things. Why in the last several years body cameras haven't been a priority is beyond me. I, as a detective, as a plainclothes detective, have a body camera. I'm supposed to use that every day when I'm having interactions with the public. The officers are mandated. That is part of the SOP, the standing operating procedure of our department, to have those and have those in use every single day with every police contact that we have. Spending, again, is the issue. I can't speak for what the commissioners have spent their money on, but I think that if the commissioners would and were able to communicate better with the sheriff and the deputies to see what their needs are, I think that's where the problem lies, communication.
Well, no one likes to address items from social media. It is a fact of everyday life. After the deaths of 6 female children, there has been an accusation that the Sheriff's Department has not done enough investigating of crimes against women and children. What step will you take as sheriff, and I'll ask you, Mark, first, what steps will you take as sheriff to correct that image? You know, just because they say it on Facebook doesn't make it true.
Yeah, I put very little effort into Facebook, to be honest with you.
Do you think that image needs to be corrected?
In so much as speaking with domestic violence partners that I work with, yes, there are trainings that can be held, there is awareness that can be held. Everyone is regarded as needing due process, being, I guess, spoke to at some point. And if that person happens to be a female or adult or a child, they are allowed due process just like everyone else. It could be some sensitivity training, what have you, but if it's on Facebook, doesn't necessarily mean that it's true.
Tony, how would you try to correct, or would you try to correct that image?
If I'd heard that from people and not Facebook, absolutely. That's the first time I've heard that been said. I put zero stock in Facebook, zero stock in Reddit, the internet in general. I've talked to a lot of people, Carroll County people, over the last year, and not a single person has said anything about women or children being treated any different during an investigation. I'd say our department as a whole, but especially me, take pride in giving people respect and listening and compassion when I talk to them. We get domestic violence training yearly. I've not heard that. If it was an issue that I was being told, we would absolutely do something to correct it.
So, Tony, how would you work to reduce violent crime in Carroll County?
I'd love to have more officers so we could be even more proactive. Most of our crimes, we don't have a lot of violent crime, but what crimes we do have, they stem from the drugs and alcohol, as I said before. And if we can incorporate a drug task force, and Mark keeps saying, I've got a team on standby. Well, he has a team on standby for everything. Why are we waiting? We've worked with Lafayette Drug Task Force. We work with Indiana State Police Drug Task Force. White County has a guy. We work with those people. I would like to dedicate one of our guys to be on that drug task force. But then again, it's a staffing issue.
Mark, respond?
Go ahead and repeat the question again.
How will you work to reduce violent crime?
Well, I see it every day. I know what it looks like. I know how to prevent what we can by being proactive. Proactivity is key. Get the officers the training they need to recognize what's going on, where it's coming from, and how to stop it before it happens.
Okay. Yes? Audience? Somebody has a question?
Yeah,
Good. Oh, Tom, come on down. Oh, you can shout. Yes.
I recently talked with the Sheriff's Department of Clinton County, and the state of Indiana has recently abolished the requirement of a handgun permit. Clinton County offers handgun safety classes on a regular basis, and the majority now are the females that are attending these classes. I have never seen our sheriff's department offer any kind of civilian handgun training safety classes. Is this an issue that could be addressed to make us, the citizens, feel more comfortable with what the state of Indiana has done, taking away the permit requirement to carry a handgun?
What's the question? Tony, you take it.
Yeah, absolutely. At the last debate, I talked about that. I think that's a great idea. In the beginning of the no hand, there's pros and cons to that. The pro to having a permit system is prior to, I think it was last year, 6,000 people in the state of Indiana were denied their handgun permit. So it was people that weren't eligible to get their permit. But at the same time, I view that as bad guys don't ask for permits. When they go commit crimes with guns, they're not asking for permission to carry their gun, they just do it. However, a lot of people don't know how to use a gun. And again, my wife, she didn't carry a gun before she met me. I trained her. I'm not a firearms expert, but yes, we have firearms instructors on our department. We can get the NRA in here that they have classes specifically for that. And I'm very pro. I would like to do that when I'm sheriff.
Mark?
I'm very pro Second Amendment. So with July 1st coming around and the availability for most, if not necessarily, there are some requirements that you still have to meet to carry a gun. But the licensing is abolished now as of July 1st. There needs to be some training because there are good citizens out there that want to carry and want to be comfortable carrying. Because a lot of people have firearms in their homes for personal defense, inside their homes. But what now they can do is carry them out and protect all of us. So I'm a big proponent of getting the training out, pushing training out. So as sheriff, that's what I will do. I will have the assistance of a few I know that are willing to push that out as well.
And I just want to clarify, I don't know where you stand, but I'm very pro Second Amendment as well.
I've got my handgun permit.
Yes.
I can be heard too, don't worry. Mark, this is going to you first. I've been hearing a lot from you about you've got the groups, you've got them on standby. So it seems like you really think that's needed, and I'm wondering why you think it's so needed, and when you were asked about what you would do different, and you brought up the professional integrity, and I'm not sure you quite meant it that way, but that's what I heard. So why, I mean, I feel like you're almost thinking, we don't know what we're doing, we need a lot of help, and if all that help is needed and out there, is it only available if you're sheriff? And then Tony, your part of it would be, hey, is there room for outside entities? Is there a better way? Do we need to build better bridges to support our small office?
So these groups, these people that I say are available, they could be available now, they're not asked. As far as the professionalism, integrity, accountability, I'm not saying that's not here. But what I am saying is that's what I bring to the table, and the people that know me for the last 28 years and beyond know that that's where I stand, and that's where I'm at right now, and that's where I'll be forever.
We reach out for training to, I mean, you have to. Lafayette they can't do all their own training. They do probably 98% of their own training. But yes, we have to reach out. I'm an instructor. There are things that we can do. We have firearms instructors, there's emergency vehicle operations. We are very self-sufficient, but you can't do it all. There's no homicide training that we can give each other. There's no crime scene training that we can do, any of that stuff. So we reach out and go to trainings all the time that are not within the department.
Who else has questions? I'm sorry, I didn't see you guys, I was, sitting here. Yes? A question, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you tell me what your pursuit policy would be if elected chair?
Your what?
Pursuit, vehicle pursuit.
Pursuit. Okay. Did you get that? Mark, you start, please.
Nate, is that for me?
Either one.
It is-
Okay.
It is now.
It's for both? Okay.
Yeah.
There comes a time when there's a forcible felony, when there's people in danger, when the community itself is in danger for someone out that is going to do harm. I would expect that we make every effort available to apprehend those individuals.
Did that answer your question?
Kind of, but it's welcome to me.
Okay, Tony?
Yeah, there are pursuits that, if they don't stop for a traffic stop, just a routine traffic stop or something like that, I want to be involved with that decision. If I'm not on duty, dispatch contacting me, if the traffic's heavy, if they're going through the city of Flora, the town of Flora, and they're gonna be driving like idiots, I don't want them doing it. But at the same time, if someone has just committed a forcible felony, and we need to get them, and we can do it in a generally safe manner, or get it stopped before it gets inside of town, then we need to get that stopped and get that person into custody. But the little stuff, I'd like to be involved. My policy would be to contact me, a chief deputy, someone, and let them know what's going on, what the traffic conditions are, and then decide. And if they want to stop the pursuit themselves, that's what we do now. The guys have that discretion that they can stop. They're grown men, they're professional men, they get to make choices. But if it's gonna continue, I would like to be involved with that decision.
Good? Okay, somebody back there.
This is for Mark first.
Can you stand up, please?
Now I can.
I've got the microphone.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't even see you.
I can try about to fall down.
Don't do that, don't do that.
Mark, it's been, known that the officers are backing, Tony. How many of the active deputies, have actually came up to you and got your knowledge and your experience? And then I'll have a question for Tony afterwards. And why do you think, for the ones who haven't talked to you, why do you think that is?
I'm not sure why, but I have some suspicions that there's probably been things said about me that aren't true. Like one of those were that if I'm elected sheriff, I'm going to fire them all. That's nonsense, completely nonsense. And I went to that individual that said that because he said it to two different people who told me that, and he told me that he never said that. However, that could be some of that. Those that I do know and have spoken to, I have no issues with. I will do anything to help them further any case they got at any point. So I'll work with them. I work with them now, and I will continue to work with them. I have no issues. I'm a professional person as they are. I've done this job long enough that when I need to, I guess, have that interaction, it will be professional without a question.
If I might, I've never heard you were gonna fire everybody either, so.
You must not have heard that from the person I did then. The two people I heard it from.
And then a question for Tony.
Okay.
You brought up Valley Oaks as a resource that you would go to as far as drug and alcohol abuse. As most of us know, Valley Oaks is overran and overworked, and how are you gonna get that in the community as a resource? Can we establish something here in the community to get that help for them here?
You're absolutely right. We pay Valley Oaks, the county pays Valley Oaks a very large amount of money to provide services to Carroll County. And last I checked, they don't have any counselors. So I question that. We talk about body cameras but I think it's a statutory thing that they have to pay them. But I don't want to just rely on Valley Oaks. Like I talked about with the community corrections, they have a network already set up that it would be great to get those people to start seeing them in jail, establish a relationship, and then as they move forward, if they go on house arrest or some form of day reporting or something within community corrections, they can continue with that person. And if it doesn't work out with that counselor, they can do it with someone else within that system. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Valley Oaks is pretty stressed right now. But there's also NAMI, there are plenty of other resources that I've talked to that we could get in here.
And then I'll have a question for the both of you. I have had a discussion with Mark in a previous conversation we've had about being an active sheriff, and that's just being on the road, warrants and all that other stuff. Tony, are you planning on being an active out on the road guy too? And if you guys could further into that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I actually miss being on the road. Sheriff stuff, administrative things. There are going to be some things that take priority. I'm not just going to go out and patrol. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to do that. But yeah, when we have two guys on duty, we may have a call that needs a third guy, a fourth guy, and I'm going to be there for that. Not just for the guys, but for the citizens, the people they're helping. Crashes need taken care of. I'm going to be that guy. I'm a workhorse. That's all I know.
With the current administration that is not active and does stay in the sheriff's department a lot of the times, what's your take on that compared to what your administration would do?
Well, again, I won't speak to the current sheriff's thoughts. I just know I'm a workhorse. I miss being on the road, and I'm gonna go out and help people.
Thank you. So at the Lafayette Police Department, I'm at the tip of the spear. I was at the tip of the spear when I was in patrol. That's how I got into detectives as fast as I did. As a detective, I am still at the tip of the spear. First in, last out. Kind of like a fireman, but not. When we have warrants, that's where I'm at. I'm doing my own warrants, working my own cases. I work a lot of cases. As the sheriff, same work ethic. I'm gonna be there for the guys. If one of them needs to take off for their kids or they've got something going on, no need to worry about it. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna work the streets. Have no problem with that.
Just to clarify too, just the other night, I worked 9 to 2 in the jail after I'd worked all day. I went back and worked at the jail from 9 to 2. That's what I do.
We're gonna tell stories. We can do that. I just drove straight to Arkansas. Got a few hours of sleep. Interviewed the suspect. Drove home for 9 hours. Was on the road for 18 and a half hours or so, give or take. Did my job, came home, worked the next day. What were you doing at the jail at that moment? What investigation were you working?
I was jailing.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you need a microphone?
I do not need a microphone. So I've heard a lot, and I've been to many of these debates, and I've heard of, I think this is important. I've heard, yes, that's something I want to do. Yes, we need this. Do either of you have a strategic plan of how you're going to do those things you want to do, you see a need for? Like when you walk in that office on January 1st, do you know what you're going to do?
Who do you want to answer
I
that?
don't care.
Okay, Mark, answer that. Please.
Yes. 30, 90-year plans are in place. We'll start with the day one, hour one. Personal inventory, I'm going to speak with each one, find their strengths, find their weaknesses, elaborate on the strengths and work on the weaknesses. After that, once that's established, we figure out what they need and how we need to go about getting that done. Also, there's support staff that will need to be figured out what they need and how to further their job. What I want to do is to make a seamless transition as seamless as it can be. And then work on getting the things that I see as important, getting them done as quickly as possible so that the 4 years runs as smoothly as possible and people know where I stand with clear and concise goals in mind, and they will also have those same clear and concise goals.
Tony.
Yeah, I kind of, in a sense, talk about my plan. The biggest problem at the sheriff's department right now is staffing. We have to figure out staffing. We have a lot of these goals. We'd like to be more proactive, absolutely. But if the staffing's not there to do it, we're in trouble. So that'll be, if that's not fixed, that'll be one of my first things that I want to do is get us bolstered back up so we can respond to everything, be more proactive, and do those things. Second off, I want to start getting the equipment in that we need, the body cameras. We can start applying for grants and do things like that. So yes, I have a plan, but really it boils down right now it's staffing.
So if that's the plan, but you don't control that because the money is controlled by the commissioners and the council on pay raises, hiring people, how do you plan on doing that?
We got to recruit. You got to go out and find. We have
How
to
do you
find.
recruit
people.
with no money?
No, you can do it without money. You have to go out. This school right here is a resource. There's a police class that happens here. You can go to Ivy Tech. There's a police course that happens down, law enforcement class that happens down there. You have to do that without the money.